Hey, welcome to episode 2 of She Gets It Done. Make sure to hit subscribe, comment, and like. We hope you love this week's episode.
Hello, welcome back to our podcast, She Gets It Done. I'm Laura,
And I'm Sana.
and today we're going to talk about things that people do that they don't know it aggravates their dog's behavior. Something like that.
Makes the behavior worse. Oh, I just knocked everything over. Alrighty, so what type of behaviors are we talking about then?
The first thing that comes to mind, it's okay, baby.
Yes,
Have you heard that one?
very much. Yeah, for
Yeah,
me, it's that one and the petting, the constant petting. When the dog is actually showing negative behaviors.
that's right. So I just want to say one thing, and I don't think there's anything wrong with, reassuring your dog, because that's not what I'm at. The thing I find completely wrong, and this is something that happened to me a while back and like got me really shitty. I was coming out of the movies and there's a lady there with a tiny dog, and the dog starts like lunging at, barking at me in a like aggressive way. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that. And that's okay. I'm a dog trainer. I understand that, I'm a
Yeah.
threat for that dog, whatever. But what I didn't like is that the lady was telling her dog, "It's okay, baby. It's okay, baby." And I'm like, "No,
It's
it's not
not
okay.
okay. Yeah.
It's not okay. It's not okay to behave like that. I understand it's okay that you're scared, but I don't think it's, a good idea to tell your dog that whatever they're doing is okay right there." So that's what I mean by that.
Yeah. I think it really comes from a soothing thing. I don't think they actually think it's okay, but it's like, it's okay, you're all right, you're all right. I think that's kind of what they mean. But by doing that, you're really telling your dog, instead of soothing them, because I think that's what they're trying to do, you are reinforcing, you're rewarding, you're encouraging that behavior. And that means it'll
Correct.
get worse, right? Because every time that dog sees someone and goes off, and you go, it's all right, it's okay. Yeah, you're saying like, keep doing that. Keep doing that. This is how you protect me from this scary little thing that is actually not that scary. Yeah, so we don't like the behavior, but you're rewarding it, which means you're gonna get it more often.
Yeah. So what would we do if that was our dog? Like, what do you do if you had a little dog?
I
Right.
would probably move away. That's the first thing I would do. So it kind of we have to look at where we are with our dog, because some of those dogs sit at a cafe, and sometimes you're at a door just waiting, or sometimes you're just walking. Like I've seen it on walks as well, where people have a reactive dog. There's this lady in my neighborhood actually that I see regularly. She has a boxer. If you're listening, I'm talking about you. Yeah, no. Um she has a boxer, and every time she sees me and my partner walking our dogs, the dog will stop and sit and refuse to move, and she will start petting it like, you're all right, it's fine, and she just pets it and almost like hug strains the dog. Yeah, so it gives it a hug and you're restraining it until we have walked all the way down the street. I mean, to me that's not a life to live, but but if it's that situation, you need to keep moving. Stop walking with that dog. Just sitting still is not doing anything that helps your dog feel better, I think. And the same goes for that lady that when you came out of the cinema, that she just needed to move with her pup. She needed to
Yeah,
not
correct.
stand there. I guess if your dog does this when you're sitting down somewhere like a cafe, they're not ready to be at a cafe. I mean, yeah, I'm going to say that. They're not ready to be at a cafe if every time there is a trigger, they lose their shit and you have to go and soothe them that it's okay, it's okay. Like, to me, that means your dog is being put in a situation they're not ready for.
Yeah. And we're not like saying that the dog is a bad dog or anything, but it's just, yeah, the situation where the dog finds himself in is just not, they're not ready for that.
Yeah.
And but I think, yeah, they're like, moving away is always my first move. Like, if I have a dog that will react to something, I'm not gonna sue that dog and tell him it's okay, because that behavior is inappropriate. Like, I don't care about the feelings. It's not that I don't care about the feelings, but it doesn't matter to me why the dog is reacting that way. Like, it's, yes, you're scared, or you just hate dogs, or you hate people, but the fact is, if we're out in public and you behave that way, it's not okay. So I'm not gonna say you're okay, it's fine. No, this is not good. Like, what we need to do is proactive. Yes. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the dog and be like, look, let's turn around. We're not looking at that thing. We're going over here. So that takes the dog out of the situation. And if I can't, because I don't know, there's a wall, or I'm sitting in a cafe, I'm just gonna correct the dog, and I'm gonna give him a little tug on the leash and be like, hey, don't behave like that. And this will work for me because the dogs I hang out with, they usually know that if I do this, it means that I'm going to deal with the situation,
Yeah.
right? So this is where, as an owner, you need to also make sure that you have that relationship with your dog, where when you have to step up and correct them for something, it's because you're going to provide protection. Yes. So there's a person there, you're scared of that person. Don't do this. So that little tug, hey, don't do this. I will deal with this. And then you step up and, tell the
Yeah.
people to piss off, whatever.
Although I think a lot of people don't have that relationship because of the coddling, which is meant, everything that you do when you do that comes from a place of love. Yeah, you're thinking, hey, this is going to help my dog. I want him to not feel that way. But actually, we're making the problem worse. So, yeah, a correction could work. Like, you see this all the time with overexcited dogs as well, kind of what we talked about in our previous one, that they just start the moment they see another dog. And it's not coming from fear or aggression. It's like, oh my God, I need to meet that dog. So then we either hug strain them and say it's okay, or people will say, oh, let them just say hi so they can get it out of their system. Yeah, so it's both of those choices are going to make your problem so much worse in the long run. Yeah, because the first one, I think, is where you have a relationship breakdown, where you cuddle and you hug strain and you tell him your dog is fine. Your dog is like in a state of stress, and you're doing like the opposite of what makes him feel good. And the other one is teaching him just bad habits. It's like you're a pushover and your dog gets to say hi, get it out of their system, and now they've learned, oh, if I just behave like that, I get to do it. It's like children, right? If they know they can get away with a certain behavior because mom is going to give in, they're going to keep doing it unless you lay down the law. So I think, yeah, those are definitely problems I see.
Yeah. I think the way I see it, where you were explaining the hug strain and the cuddling and the it's okay. To me, it's like you and your dog are cornered somewhere and we're all scared, and like, we're gonna get through this together. This
Yeah.
is the image I get when I see people excessively patting their dog and trying to calm them down and saying it's okay, it's okay. That's the image I get in my mind. It's like,
Same.
we're cornered here, we're all gonna die. So that's the projection. That's what you're projecting to your dog. That's why I think it makes it worse. And the other one, the let's get it out of your system, like, oh yeah, once he beat you on the hand, he'll be all right. uh
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's like, so yeah, that's why you're teaching your dog, like, get all excited, bark and lunge and be super aggressive, and once you do that and I'll let you get what you want, you're all right. But
Yeah.
that's not okay either. I
That's
always, there's one I tell some of the people I deal with, but not everyone, because not everyone's ready for this. But I say to them, when you're young and you go out and you see this cute waiter, yes, at the cocktail bar, and you really want to pinch their bum, yes,
That's
but you
not
don't do
allowed
it,
anymore.
right? You don't do it because it's inappropriate, yes? But this is why, let me get it out of my system. Once I punch the
Oh my
waiter's
God.
butt, yeah, I'm fine. He can carry on doing his work and I'm happy.
Yeah,
How inappropriate is that?
it's not at all. I love that analogy. That is so good. Exactly.
That's what I tell my clients. Well, selective clients, because like I say, not everyone's ready for this one. But
Yeah.
yeah, we were all young once.
Oh, totally. Maybe
Yeah. So that's
diff
the thing.
young from the current generation where that's not allowed. But yeah. But yeah, you're totally right when it comes to that. I actually, um, it's the first thing I address at every single group class, right? Because in group class, you have a new group of 10-ish dogs come, at least for my group class, they're between 5 and 10 dogs. And most of the time, all of those dogs come in super excited or super nervous. And some are chill, but that doesn't happen very often. And some of those dogs really hit the top end. Yeah, especially like Frenchies or some Staffies that do that kind of screaming constantly. And what owners do, like their first response, and it goes for every dog, even if you have a schnauzer that's barking or just whatever is going on, German Shepherd barking, they will squat down with the dog and will start to petting. It's okay. You're all right. Shh, shh, be quiet. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. So that's the very first thing I address. I will tell everyone, stand up and ignore your dog. They'll be fine. And then I tell them to step on the lead, do the sit on the dog exercise, which we'll discuss in a little bit. And then as the weeks progress, by the last week, usually already by week 3, those dogs come in and they're just fine. They're like, oh, okay, we're here. A little bit of excitement, and that's it. It's because from the get-go, I do not allow that behavior because it's not helping anyone. It's not doing any good for anyone to constantly be down there rewarding that behavior. I think that really needs to become like, if anything in this session, I want to tell people your petting is rewarding your dog. And
For the behavior they're
for the
doing.
behavior that they're doing. And if
Yeah.
we reward a behavior, it'll happen more often.
Mm-hmm.
Dog
Yeah,
training.
and I think this is where it's a bit hard again to find a middle ground, because there's also been the other side of the coin where people have been advised not to touch their dogs at all when their dogs are feeling scared
Oh
or
yes.
nervous
Yeah.
or anything. So from an owner's point of view, it's really hard sometimes to make the difference. So when can I reassure my dogs? Because we were talking about fireworks the other day,
Yeah.
and I told you there's this dog, this particular dog I had, that the only way that he wouldn't freak was for me to hold him. And so that was the way. But the difference I think that I really like to make clear is that when you're doing that, the way you're feeling is what matters. It's not what you're doing. It's not how you're petting the dog. If I had held that dog and be like, it's okay, baby, it's okay, it's okay. We go back to the scene where, like, we're both together cornered and we're scared. That's not the same
Yeah.
as me holding the dog super tight and be like, it's fine,
You're all
and I'm
right.
not gonna
Yeah,
bump
you're all
the
right.
dog or anything.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is, like, my feelings of, I feel safe and I'll keep you safe.
Yeah.
That's what I'm transmitting. And so there's no excessive patting and there's no excessive talking. It's just like, I'll hold you. And then, the dog is like, ooh, I'm safe here. It's different. It's a totally different thing. But I think that's where it's
Okay.
hard.
Supporting the dog.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
support, But there is a really fine line that's where we need to work on, is where the reassurance really begins. Is like, where am I feeling strong enough and like confident enough to be able to convey that to my dog, you know?
Because if
So
you're
that,
panicked every time you see a dog and you have to go into your frantic, it's okay. The dog actually learns from you, hey, there is something to be worried about.
yeah,
If you would, if that's you at the moment, and that's okay if that's you, but if you would get up tomorrow and you'd say, all right, from today, every time we see a dog, I'm just going to keep walking and say, you're all right, let's go. You will, doing just that is already going to change your dog's behavior dramatically. Like, you don't have to do any corrections or any treats or treat tossing or whatever. Just maybe crossing the street and keep walking.
yeah.
I think that in itself would make a huge difference, because your dog feeds off your energy. I always like to say the one where if you have kids and your child falls off the playground or something, the first thing they do is look at mum and see what mum's reaction is. And if mum's reaction is, you're right, carry on, they're like, okay, let's go. But if mum goes, oh my God, are you okay? That's when the waterworks start. If the child isn't sure how they feel about it, obviously, if they fall off and they break their arm, they'll be right? That's a justified crying. And of course, they're in a panic and we need to go and support them and comfort them. But if it's kind of like, I think I'm okay, but let's see what happens, that's when they start reacting. And it's very similar with dogs. They will feed off your energy when it comes to that.
Yeah. So there's again a lot of work to do as humans. The training that we think our dogs need, sometimes there's also so much work that we need to do.
Yeah.
And instead of like, I like to be like, instead of overthinking, you know, reinforcement and marker words and all those things that, you know,
Yeah.
all the trainers will tell you, just work on yourself. Like, how are you feeling right now? Yes, you are feeling a little bit panicky. You think your dog is gonna like, you know, do something that makes you embarrassed or like makes it hard for you to hold your dog. You know, put a blank canvas on there, turn around, go. You know, I think
That's it.
if we try to work more on that instead of overthinking, oh, I should be rewarding my dog, I should be doing this. No, don't think about that. Just get out of there. Just get out of
Exactly.
there.
Because
Yeah.
that's exactly what we said last episode as well. Like, if your dog is anxious, so this is really about anxious or fearful dogs, not so much the overexcited dog. But if your dog is fearful or anxious, you sitting there is going to make it worse. Like we said it last time, having your dog sit and stare at something that they find scary that's only coming closer is awful for the dog. Like, if you're afraid of spiders and I have one on my hand and I come closer, 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 your response is to back up because you don't want to deal with it. So why would we think that sitting down with a dog, and I've seen actual people hold their dog's face, like, look at me, and they hold the face like that. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're putting this dog in such a position that they can't move, they can't even look away, thinking that that helps. But what you need to do is move, just move away from it.
And you know what happens when we try that? We're like, okay, my dog needs to behave. Sit, sit,
Oh
sit,
my God,
or watch
that's
me,
it.
or whatever. And you know
Yeah.
what starts happening? We start getting frustrated because the dog's not doing the thing, and I need the dog to see it, because otherwise shit's gonna break the fan.
Yeah.
And when we start getting frustrated again, that's the projection. So we're showing our dog some sort of distress, some sort of anger, some sort of whatever it is that is not helping the dog feel like, okay, this
Hey,
person's got she's got it. No, she doesn't have it. She's like,
yeah.
oh my God.
That's
Yeah.
it. And then I don't know if this is for you, but this is for me a lot. That behavior, the barking and all that when they see strangers, then often gets misunderstood by the owner as, oh, but he's protecting me. But your dog
Yeah.
isn't. Like, unfortunately, I would say that 9 out of 10 times your dog is not protecting you. Your dog thinks it's his job to do this because of previous experiences that you are not stepping up. Like, he just thinks, oh my God, I need to do this to keep us safe, but I don't want to be doing this. Yeah, because the moment I would take the lead, the behavior stops because, yeah, like you said earlier, you're in charge. You're telling the dog, hey, you know what? I've got this covered. You don't need to do this. And the
Mm.
anxiety just drops away for the dog.
Yeah.
For you.
Most dogs really, really want a human to take charge. Like
Exactly.
this is what dogs were bred and selected to do over thousands of generations. So yes, there will be the odd dog that is really independent and doesn't need a human. And
Totally.
like I come from Chile where there's a lot of stray dogs, and I tell you those stray dogs don't need humans, they're fine. But we're talking about Australia, New Zealand, and other places like this
Yeah, like
where,
people that
yeah,
have a pug or a Jack Russell or a
right?
Labrador. Like, they're not
Yes.
bred to protect you. Maybe if you have like a Great Pyrenees or something, or some Huskies, I think Samoyeds could have that a little bit more. But your average pet dog does not protect you. They're acting out of anxiety because they know that you're not going to fix it for them.
Yeah, and they're mainly protecting themselves because they see that there's weakness around, and I'm talking about the human there. That's like the person that's supposed to be in charge is not taking charge. Somebody do something, But the
Exactly.
moment somebody steps in and holds that lead, like you or me or anyone that has a bit of assertiveness going on, and you can see it in the dog, that almost that sigh of relief, right? Like,
Exactly.
thank you. Yeah, there's someone here that knows what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for us, it's easier to say it because that's what we do every day as a job. But for
Totally. And
someone
our
that,
handling is so much better than clients, but you can't expect the same. But this is maybe what they need to aspire to just with their dog.
yeah, and I think, yeah, and you don't need specific handling training for this. You just need to work on how you're handling things.
Yeah,
So if you don't need to watch a YouTube video on how to walk a bit more assertively, like you just have to try to be it, like those aspiration things in the mirror. I am strong, I am powerful, all of that. Well, I don't do that, but this is kind of what you need to do when you're out with your dog. You need to believe in that. Like, yeah, I'm in charge here,
that's it.
and no one's gonna bother us. And if my dog behaves in an inappropriate manner, I'm gonna sort it out. And if someone tries to pet my dog and my dog is panicking, I'm not gonna let that happen. And all those things, once you have that going on, just watch your dog be like,
Oh,
ah,
you. Watch your
yeah,
dog follow your directions, man. It's a,
look at you and be like, yes,
exactly. And again, I do want to say, like, this is for dogs that just react with barking. I'm not talking about a dog that has full-blown aggression towards other dogs or people that need to be muzzle trained and have bite incident. Like,
oh
we're not
yeah,
talking about those dogs. We're talking about the dogs that see someone coming out of a door and they're like going off at it. Yeah, for no real reason. And those are dogs that are friendly once they're off lead and get to know you, like those type of dogs. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I think that really covers what we wanted to talk about, right?
oh
Like,
yeah,
if we have 3 tips to give on this topic, I would say the first one is keep moving. So stop standing still with your dog. But if you do have to stand still, teach your dog to sit on the dog exercise. With sit on the dog, all you need to do is step on the lead, give your dog enough space to sit, stand, and lie down, and then ignore your dog. Yeah, I only interact with them if they start chewing the lead or jumping up on my legs. I'm like, nope. And then I give really gentle praise when they calm down. And obviously, you do not do this the first time at a cafe. You might do this at home first. Yeah.
Yeah. Or
First,
in a park with not many people around, like somewhere
exactly.
not too busy. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So it's
Definitely.
all about teaching your dog, oh, I can be ignored and I'm fine. I don't need to be interacting with the world. So that's
That's
that.
correct.
Yeah. And what's that third tip? I think we have.
Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty or frustrated. Like your dog is fine. Your dog is not in danger. Well, if your dog's in danger, that's another story. But in a mainly daily scenarios where your dog is kind of cracking the shits at something, just be a leader. Like be like, no, we're not doing this. That's it. But try not to feel bad about it. You know,
Mm.
your dog, you can say no to your dog. You can say to your dog, hey,
It's
when we're out
inappropriate.
here, we don't behave like that. Don't do this, you know? It's okay to do that, and your dog will still love you and even might respect you a bit more as well because you're finally stepping up to some rules. So that is also helpful. I think it's not a bad thing to say to your dog, you can't do this here. I think that's where lot of people struggle. Like, yeah, no, that's not
Actually,
appropriate. Don't do this.
I'm pretty sure that in Larry Crohn's seminar, he used the example that you can be afraid of the dentist, but it doesn't mean you can punch him in the face. That's inappropriate behavior. And that's the same with dogs. Like you can be anxious, but doesn't mean you can act out on it
Yeah.
and not be redirected or corrected or whatever it is that we just which path we decide to go on.
Mhm.
We just need to fit in the norm, I guess. You can't just be out there barking your head off at everything just because you feel like it.
That's right.
Some
And
dogs
obviously,
have it. Mm.
try to put your dog in situations they can handle.
That's
Yes.
important.
Sometimes we also tend to ask a lot from our dogs. And
Mm.
if you step back a little bit and put yourself in your dog's perspective, try to think, okay, what is my dog facing right now? Oh, I'm in a cafe where there's kids running, there's footballs, there's like people trying to pet him, there's like whatever, someone coming out of the movies, anything like that.
Yeah,
Okay, but from my dog's point of view, this can be quite overwhelming. So am I doing the right thing by standing here with my dog? You can also try to think like that.
exactly. Like give your dog a bit of grace,
Mhm.
especially
Yeah.
when something is new or if they get startled. Like I also startle really easily. So if they bark from a startle, I wouldn't correct that. Like that's the moment where I would be like, "You're all right. It's okay."
Mhm.
Yeah, because you actually someone came suddenly running around the corner and no one saw it coming, like stuff like that. But yeah, it is. Don't put your dog in situations where you know they're probably going to fail. There's nothing wrong with leaving him in the car for 10 minutes while you go and get a coffee or something like that.
Yeah. Or sitting at the furthest table of the cafe. You don't have to sit in the one that's in the middle. You can choose the one
100%.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Things like that. Make your life easy. Make your dog's life easier, and then everything becomes more enjoyable.
Yeah, I even say to people, if you really want a cafe dog, then maybe go sit at the nearest park bench at the cafe that you want to go to and start from there. And if that goes well, cool. Now we go to the furthest table that has the least amount of people walking past the table. And then, like, yeah, it's not, we don't, if we have to do a test or exam, we study for it. We don't start studying while we do the exam. And I think a lot of people do that with dogs. They have the final end result in mind. So that's where we start. They don't actually study and do the tiny steps towards that end goal. And then they're like, oh, my dog isn't doing it.
Mm-mm. I mean, dogs are wonderful. So that's why it's so hard for some people because yeah, some dogs will be like super bulletproof and they'll go anywhere, and some people never see a dog trainer in their entire lives and their dogs are amazing, and we don't get to see those people, but they are out there. They are out there, and that's lucky for them. But there's also, yeah, a lot of dogs that, need guidance, a lot of people that need guidance, because the world evolves. Yeah, we don't live in a tribe setup anymore. We live in cities now, and dogs don't all work in farms anymore. Dogs are like here, so everything has changed. So we also need to change and adapt and help our dogs, adapt to whatever we're asking them to do.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
All right, I
That's
feel
it.
like we covered a lot of good stuff in this one.
Yep.
All right, well, let's leave it at that. I hope these tips are helpful. If you have any more questions, feel free to send us a message or comment on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. We'll also be creating a Instagram and channel specifically for the podcast in the future, so keep an eye on that. And then we'll see you next week.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.